Say that you a baller. You lame, can't play this game.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Nesson Studios. I'm Michaela Vernava, and you are watching an NBA All-Star Break edition of The Rebound. And Celtics fans, you better hope this week off does your team some good, because the Celtics have come back down to earth as of late. The C's are on a 3-game skid and playing arguably the worst basketball we've seen from them all season in their past 2 outings. They've given up a season high for the second time in as many games, allowing the subpar Clippers to drop 129 after being blown out on their own court by the Cavs, who won 121-99 on Sunday. So they've lost 3 straight, 4 of the last 5, and 9 of the past 15 overall, and that has Brad Stevens considering a shakeup.
Yeah, I mean, we'll look at everything. We'll look at obviously you're always looking at small tweaks defensively and offensively, but we haven't gotten enough out of our rotations and subs and all those things, and we need to, we'll take a deeper dive into that over the next week.
Joined now by our Celtics analyst, Darren Hartwell. And Darren, first off, just want to start with, is it time to panic about this slide? I mean, the Celtics so strong in the beginning of the season. Brad Stevens, you remember calling it a bit of a mirage after Gordon Hayward's injury there. But, I mean, it's a little startling the past couple of games and some of the numbers that I just mentioned. They're losing streak right now. So is it time to panic?
Yeah, I mean, Stevens has been as tough on this team as anybody, surprisingly. I don't think it's necessarily time to panic just yet. I think this off time will do them some good. They're going to get Marcus Smart back after the All-Star break. I think he plays a big role in their defense. Obviously, you've seen the defense suffer with him out of the lineup. So I think they just need to hit the reset button a bit. That being said, if we get back from the All-Star break and they start losing a few more games, then yeah, I think you have to start really thinking about whether this team is built for playoff success. But I think right now, get into the All-Star break, take some time off, hit the reset button, and come back ready to go. So
not quite time to panic, but have the panic button ready, basically.
Yeah, just have it near you. Okay. Just be on the lookout. And
so if we have the switchboard right now, we're hitting reset, and if we come back and they haven't reset, then we're hitting panic. But hopefully they'll be able to reset. And as we just heard from Brad Stevens, is that he's thinking about making some changes. So in addition to the fact that Smart will hopefully be back in the lineup, what else do you think he can do to sort of shake up the rotation?
Yeah, I think one guy to focus on is Marcus Morris. I think he could be thrust into the starting lineup. Maybe he gets a little healthier. He's had some knee issues. One thing I'm interested to see is whether he does anything with the young players, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They've been starting pretty much every game, and I don't know if that was necessarily the plan going into the season with Gordon Hayward. And it's worked out, but both of them have kind of struggled recently, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But maybe he brings one of them off the bench. Maybe Jaylen Brown comes off the bench, and maybe a guy like Marcus Smart goes into the starting lineup. I think Stevens said he's open to trying pretty much anything. So, maybe Terry Rozier gets more minutes. Maybe Terry Rozier starts to inject a little energy. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some experimentation going on right out of the All-Star break.
The thing that's comforting for me there, if I'm a Celtics fan, is just the trust that I do have in Brad Stevens and his ingenuity. And I mean, he has such a good grasp on that team. He has the confidence of his guys, and he is a brilliant basketball coach. I mean, we've seen him do great things, so I definitely trust him to make those moves going forward.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is there was a time early in Stevens' tenure where some of the players were complaining a little bit. I don't know if complaining is the right word, but just about the lineups changing so much. And I think Stevens realized that, and he's going to have the same kind of core players. Like Kyrie Irving's going to be out there, Al Horford's going to be out there. So as long as he's able to kind of do it in stride, and like you said, I think he's earned the trust where they know he'll do what's in the best interest of the team.
So now the Cavs. I mean, there was a point where we were saying, the Celtics should really have no problem with them and have a clear path to winning the East, but now the Cavs come out and blow out the C's at the Garden. Is that, do you think, just a burst because of the moves they made and wanted to come out fresh with their new pieces, or do you think that they're back in the running as a legitimate threat?
I think one thing's for certain is that they're a better team now than they were, say, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, before the trade deadline. There's been a lot of hype. Some people are saying, oh, they can win the title right now. I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think this team is definitely improved. They're younger, first of all. Three of the guys they brought in are 25 years old. Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance, and Rodney Hood. And I think it shows on defense. They're more energetic on defense. They can shoot better. They can stretch the floor better. Rodney Hood and Jordan Clarkson have been shooting well. And LeBron just looks a little bit re-energized. So I think that tends to happen. He just needs some new, fresh faces in there. You gotta keep the king happy. I think time will tell whether they really can gel. But right now, it looks like that kind of just roster overhaul, kind of hitting the reset button. We use that term again. Has done good for them. I would be concerned if I was the Celtics. I wouldn't want to play the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals or in the playoffs. I think that would be, as we saw on Sunday, a pretty tough matchup.
Yeah, always tough playing LeBron. But, I mean, not impossible. I guess we're going to have to wait and see still.
Got to make adjustments.
Yeah, but enough with the Cavs. Let's move on to a more positive note for the Celtics. All-Star Weekend tips off Friday night, starting with the Rising Stars game and Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum representing Boston. And that's all well and good, very exciting stuff, but Darren, you just mentioned, I mean, these guys are slumping a little bit. Are you concerned about their play right now?
I think it's cause for mild concern. I know we've talked a lot about with Tatum with the rookie wall. It's a long NBA season, and you're not used to in college playing that many games. I think he's done okay for himself considering maybe the expectations. I think he's exceeded expectations overall going into the season. But yeah, going down the stretch, I would be concerned about his usage. And I think with Brown, it seems like more of an aggressiveness factor that's been big for him. I think in his rookie season, he thrived on getting to the hoop. He's very athletic, lots of dunks, strong takes. I think you've seen a little bit less of that recently. So I think getting back to that aggressiveness. I don't know exactly, what that takes. Maybe having Marcus Smart back in the lineup energizes the team as a whole and makes Brown a little bit more aggressive. But I think that's probably the improvement I'd like to see from him.
So looking at Tatum, you've already said he's exceeded expectations, and I would certainly agree with that. As far as his ceiling, not just looking at this season, because like you said, the rookie wall is a really good point, but as he does become more accustomed and adjusted to NBA life and the longer season, what do you think do you think that he could become a legitimate top 10 player in the NBA?
I don't see a reason to limit his ceiling. He's 19 years old. He's one of the top picks in the draft. I think he's a very polished scorer for his age. So yeah, I can see him being, sure, he can be a top 10 player in the NBA. I think, maybe he needs to work on the defensive end and the game as a whole. But I think right now, the maturity he's already showing and his ability to score in multiple ways. He's got a great mid-range game. He can get to the basket. He's long. Maybe he develops a three-point shot a little bit more. That was great out of the gate for him. He shot very well three-point. Just more consistency there, but he has all the tools, and I think that's why Danny Ainge was so attracted to him over maybe Lonzo Ball or Markelle Fultz, just a complete offensive player. So yeah, ceiling's high.
And as far as Jaylen Brown, how does having Tatum and guys like Kyrie Irving, or I shouldn't even say that because there aren't really a lot of guys like Kyrie Irving, but having Kyrie Irving playing alongside him, how has that really brought out the best in him as a player? Yeah, well, I mean, Kyrie Irving is one of the most creative players ever with the basketball. So, he opens up a lot of things on offense. You have to put a lot of attention on him, and so that opens things up for Brown. I think you see the Celtics are good at spacing the floor when Kyrie's out there, and then kicking to Brown or Tatum for a three-point shot. But then also that opens up. If you're focusing on the three-point shot, then they can get to the rim and kind of create their own offense. So I think that's what we've seen from Brown. And I mentioned, the aggressiveness going to the basket. He has that. It's just, gone away maybe a little bit in recent weeks, but that's still a strong part of his game. So I think you're going to hopefully see more of that if Kyrie keeps playing the way he's playing, which has been excellent. And you just said Kyrie Irving, one of the most creative players with the basketball, apparently also extremely creative on the silver screen. Check this out. Come on, bang.
Don't do it like that, Uncle Drew.
Quality performance. Are you gonna see that movie?
Yeah, I mean, adding to his IMDb page. I like it, you know?
Yeah.
Him and Gronk, two local actors.
Yep. So that is the trailer for Uncle Drew. You can catch the full trailer on NESN.com. I highly recommend you go watch it. It is loaded with star power too.
Oh yeah.
Really star-studded
Shaq's
cast.
in there too.
Yep.
Yep.
Lisa Leslie, who was my backyard basketball go-to. Don't know if you remember.
Oh,
Throwback on that computer game. Loved that.
Yeah.
Definitely go check out that trailer though. It looks like it's gonna actually be a hilarious movie, which is kind of surprising, but it looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. And speaking of old timers, as we see 70-year-old Kyrie Irving there, Paul Pierce, what a night on Sunday at the Garden.
Like I said, when you're forever with the Celtics, you're forever. Every day I looked up and I saw empty spots and I saw all the jersey numbers. Now I'm on there. And that's forever. And it's like, wow, I'm there. But there's no greater honor than having your NBA jersey retired for the Boston Celtics. No greater honor. You know, I wasn't a flashy player or had the commercials and top-selling shoes, you know, but I was a player that was well-respected. And people know when I came into the gym, they had to be ready also.
You know, to be part of a great lineage of great players that have come before him, and now his legacy will last forever. And now it's in the rafters forever, and that's something that as a kid you dream of, other than winning a championship. And then he's got a championship and a finals MVP, so a lot of his goals I feel like he's attained.
To see everybody back, you know, whether it's his former teammates, his coaches, some of the other people whose numbers hang in the rafters, you know, it's why it's special here. It's why it's different here. It's why you know it's a privilege and there's a great deal of responsibility here. And you know, again, I don't think we played well, but we do recognize it.
Now, here's a guy who was not at the Garden on Sunday, Ray Allen. He posted a series of photos on Instagram as a tribute to Paul Pierce, accompanied by a lengthy monologue, part of which read, quote, "I will always cherish the bonds that I shared with all of my teammates and the people in the city of Boston." Allen also said that he and Pierce, quote, "talked about my decision to leave during free agency, a choice I made for my family. Despite what you may have heard or read or what is rumored, there is nothing but love. Paul and I are more interested in building bridges than putting up walls." So, Darren, I was scrolling in the comment section of that post, and a lot of blowback about the fact that Ray Allen chose to go golfing instead of being at TD Garden for Paul Pierce night on Sunday. But I was kind of wondering, I mean, do you think he would have been welcome and or invited to the Garden? Because you remember when Rajon Rondo was holding that anniversary for the 08 championship team, he made it clear that Ray Allen was not invited, called him a traitor. So I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of wondering if he would have been let in TD Garden on Sunday.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Pierce and Allen, I think they're okay. I think Rondo holds some grudges, as we saw with that Isaiah Thomas thing the other night. They both got ejected, but yeah, I don't know if Rondo necessarily would have been okay with him. I think the thing with Ray Allen is he kind of just does his own thing. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go golfing on Sunday because that's what I want to do. Okay, like I'm gonna miss Paul Pierce's thing, but whatever. I don't think Pierce would have had a problem with him being there, but maybe he just felt that he didn't. Maybe he felt that he didn't want to, you know, create added drama, take away from the experience. You know, I don't know. Maybe, you know, people would be stirring up the rumors about the 08 team and the, you know, the anniversary party and all that. Maybe he's just like, all right, I'm just gonna keep my distance and let Pierce have his night. If
that's the case, then I like that. But
yeah, it's
given the way that entire I mean, first of all, you look at literally that was basically an Odyssey-length novel that he wrote on his Instagram post, and it didn't get to Paul Pierce until the very end. The entire post was all about him, and I am gonna say I do not know Ray Allen personally. He was already in Miami by the time I got into this market. So I don't want to pass judgment, but yeah, I mean, he just seems like, at least that post was very kind of revolved around him, not so much Paul Pierce, which I thought was just kind of funny because he has these nice pictures of Paul Pierce and everything, just kind of throws him in there at the bottom. The rest is about him and defending himself and how he helped raise the banner, and I was a part of that, but it's like, all right, we get it.
I think he certainly feels attacked a little bit, but he's played into it too. He's kind of had some passive aggressive, social media stuff, which the whole social media, it's just it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
People going back and forth on Instagram, all this stuff. You'd like to see them just, get in a room and work out their differences that way. I don't know.
Well, one guy that was at the Garden was obviously Kevin Garnett, who means a lot to Boston. And now that number 34 is hanging from the rafters, the debate is in play as to what to do with number 5. I feel like there are good arguments made on both sides. Obviously, Paul Pierce was with the team a lot longer than Kevin Garnett, but I do think the fact that Kevin Garnett was a huge piece in changing the culture of that Celtics team. What do you think? Do you think he's deserving of having his number retired?
I think it's borderline. I don't think it's necessarily a slam dunk that he gets his number retired just because, 6 seasons is, that's the argument, but 6 seasons is not that long of a time. That said, I think it's going to happen. I think he's going to be the next number retired. I just think that, like you said, he really did help change the culture. I don't think they win that championship without Garnett, certainly, both for what he did on the court and off the court. And they didn't win another championship, but they were very good for his entire tenure there. And I think if you look back, NESN.com's Mike Cole had something on this on the website. If you look back at some of the other Celtics numbers who have gotten retired, some of them have been there for 7 years, 6 years. So it's not unprecedented. There's no year requirement. You have to play X amount of years. And then just if you look at Garnett's work as a whole as a player, I think it's pretty undeniable. Also think it would be pretty cool, the 34 is right there, and then there's a little space right next to it. So 34 and 5 would be right next to each other on the banner, that final spot. So I think that's a pretty cool image.
I like that. You definitely got to fill that spot. And speaking of retired numbers, that Larry Bird jersey 33,
that's been up there a while.
Obviously hanging in the rafters. And look, we're both still wearing red. Valentine's Day a few days ago. Love is still in the air. Mm-hmm. This is the Rebound.
That's right.
We've been known to share dating stories and such. But yeah, love is still in the air. And back in 1986, Larry Bird's lefty jumper was in the air hardcore. That game against the Portland Trail Blazers, let's throw it back here, Darren.
There we go.
What did you think of that performance? And I'm referring to on Valentine's Day in 1986 when Bird told his teammates, hey, I'm going to play this one left-handed because he's Larry Bird and because he just can.
Yeah. I wish that Twitter was around when this happens. It'd be going nuts. I think it's classic Larry Bird. Not only is he, one of the best competitors out there, but he's also, incredible trash talker. He's a really good troller too. He trolls people hard. This reminded me of I think it was Xavier McDaniel told him exactly where he was going to hit a game-winning jumper over him before doing exactly that, and then was mad because he left a little time on the clock. So he just plays mind games with his opponents because he's so good and so talented. But yeah, the left-handed thing, pretty epic. Just the fact that he's bored playing basketball at such a high level.
Yep.
Once you get so good at that, I think it's kind of an interesting parallel. But like Kyrie Irving has said at times that sometimes he tries to make layups more difficult than they actually are, just because he's so good at
just to challenge
finishing
himself
in the air. So yeah, just got to challenge yourself sometimes.
Gotta have fun out there. But on that day, Bird notched a triple-double, 47 points, 14 rebounds, 11 assists. The Celtics won in overtime in Portland against the Trail Blazers. Bird hit every three-pointer he shot, and he did a lot of that with his left hand. And he's a righty, but like we said, just because we could. How about that for a love letter? Savage. Absolutely savage. Savage move. And on that note, that is it for this week's episode. Make sure to keep up with all the NBA All-Star fun right here on NESN.com and check back with us. We'll be here next week.